What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's lesson, which is a super awesome grammar lesson. And I promise you, if you stick around, you will learn something new. What's up? My name's Wes. This is Interactive English, which is the place that you want to be to practice and improve your English skills. Now, we get so many comments and requests from learners asking us, like, we want to know more about the verb tenses, verb tenses, verb tenses, verb tenses. So ask and you shall receive. We are slowly going through each verb tense and we're going to talk to you about them and practice them. And today we are going to look at the present simple and the present continuous. Now, I know that you might be thinking, oh, wow, this is too easy. I've already done this. I would say, well, first, it is always, always, always good to practice and review grammar that we've already studied, because I think one issue is that everybody always wants to do, new grammar, new grammar, new grammar, even if they're making mistakes, simple mistakes with grammar they've already studied. So it's always good to review. It's always good to practice. Also, I promise you, like I said at the beginning, you will learn something new. I think there is some new things. I think there will be some new things that I will tell you about the present simple and present continuous. So if you are joining us live, please write your name. Tell us what's up in the chat. Hi, Basam, Tarana, Yasira, Bogdan. Thank you guys. Anna, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are here with us. Again, write your name. Let me know in the chat. Even if you are watching this later, write to us in the comments. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. We just want to hear from you. We want you guys to interact with these lessons because later we are going to practice using the present simple and the present continuous. So let's just get right into it. And first, I want to talk to you about the present simple. So I'm not going to go through the different ways that you form the present simple. I'm just going to tell you when you use it, give you some example sentences, and I'll talk a little bit about the grammar. So we use the present simple to talk about the following. We use it to express habits. For example, I watch TV at night. All right, notice the conjugation, I watch. If we say he, she, it, he watches, she watches. We use that S. General truths. We use it when we're talking about things that are generally true. The earth is round. The verb to be, it's going to have different conjugations. I am, he is, she is, it is, we are, they are. Keep that in mind. Also, we use present simple to talk about repeated actions, okay? Actions that are happening again and again. The baby cries every day. So every day, that is a key signal word that tells us, it's a repeated action. And remember, if the verb ends with Y, like cry, we're going to use IES. The baby cries every day. And again, a good rule of thumb is when we see adverbs of frequency also, usually, always, usually, sometimes, that's also a signal word that tells us, okay, it's probably the present simple. That's not always the case, but it's something to think about. We also use it with unchanging situations. He teaches English online. This guy, that's me, all right? Unchanging situations, we use the present simple. Now, if we want to get a little more advanced in talking about the present simple, we can use this verb tense when we're talking about the future. And we use it when we're talking about scheduled future time. The key word there is scheduled, that something is happening and we know the time. For example, the movie starts at 8 p.m. It's talking about the future, but 8 p.m., that's the scheduled time, so we can use the present simple, all right? We can also use future like will, but again, in this case, I think present simple is more common when you're talking about scheduled time. The other example, the plane arrives tomorrow. Tomorrow, again, tells us, well, that's the future, but it's a scheduled time because we know that tomorrow, the plane arrives. The plane arrives tomorrow. The other one, which is something that I think can confuse learners all the time is when we're talking about future time clauses. Now, remember that we use the present simple in the dependent clause, and it's going after the subordinating conjunction. Now, the subordinating conjunction, if you're thinking of common ones, those are words like, before, after, when. Those are some of the more common ones. And the present simple is going to go after those words. So, for example, I'll turn off my phone before the movie starts. Talking about something in the future. Now, the future tense will turn off. That's my independent clause. That's my main clause right there. Before the movie starts, that's my dependent clause, and the present simple comes after before. So many times learners would want to say, I'll turn off my phone before the movie will start. And I'm like, no. We don't use the future in both of these cases, all right? In the dependent clause, after the subordinating conjunction, use the present simple. Here's another example. I'll pick you up when, that's my subordinating conjunction, the plane arrives. Again, present simple. I'll pick you up, that's the future, when the plane arrives, present simple. So this is a little more getting into more advanced grammar, complex sentences, and keeping in mind that you're not going to use the future twice, all right? You would use the future in the main clause, the independent clause, and the present simple in the dependent clause, which is after the subordinating conjunction. Now, let's quickly talk about negatives and questions. So if we're forming negatives, we're going to use not. But we're also going to use a helping verb, which is do. So for example, we do not play basketball. It's in the present. I don't have a car. It's in the present. And again, with don't, we can contract the helping verb and the negative not. We don't, I don't. Now, the exception would be is if we're talking about the verb to be, we're not going to use do. I should have provided an example, but I don't have it up there, so I will just tell you. If we're using the verb to be, for example, I am not hungry. We're not using the helping verb do, but it's in the present simple, I am not. So with the verb to be, we just use that verb plus not when we're talking about negatives. And with asking questions, again, if it's not the verb to be, we need the helping verb do. Okay, do they travel every summer? It's a question in the present simple. Now keep in mind that the subject is going to go between the helping verb do and the main verb travel. Do they travel? Do they travel every summer? Does she work from home? Does she work from home? Question in the present simple. And notice the conjugation. Do they, does she? So the conjugation of our subject she is going to go with the helping verb. Do they, does she? And again, if we're using the verb to be, we don't need the helping verb do. So for example, I would just say, okay, are you hungry? It's a question in the present simple. Are you hungry? And then I respond, I am not hungry. Answer in the present simple. So this is that's talking about the present simple. I think it's more, again, when we start learning English, this is some of the first grammar that we learn is how to say sentences in the present simple. Next, we start learning then the present continuous. So let's look at the present continuous, and there's a bit more information, and we are then going to practice, okay? So with the present continuous, these are the times when we would use the present continuous. If we're talking about something at the moment, something happening, an action right now. So I said for my example, at the moment, right now, she is sleeping. So the one thing to look at if we're talking about the grammar to form the present continuous, we're using the verb to be plus the verb plus ing, is sleeping. So that is the form for the present continuous. We use the verb to be plus the verb and the ing, is sleeping. We also use it if we're talking about something temporary, all right? That's going to happen for a certain amount of time, and then it's not happening anymore. So for example, I would say, I'm studying English this semester. That for this semester, I'm studying English. It's temporary. And remember, I am studying. We have the verb to be plus that ing. And again, there's different rules with the contractions. We can contract the subject and the verb to be. Instead of I am studying, I'm studying. I'm studying English this semester. We also use it with things that are changing, things that are growing. So you guys, I hope you guys watch our lessons and you are learning a lot. And then I would tell you, your English is improving. Your English is improving. It's growing, it's changing, it's developing. We can also use the present continuous when talking about reoccurring situations. Reoccurring situations, they are always traveling. They're always traveling. They're always traveling. Now, this is a little bit different from the present simple when we're talking about unchanging situations. That's just things that it doesn't change. It's always happening. Reoccurring situations would be like something happens and then later on, 1 month later, 2 months later, who knows, it happens again. And you're just talking about people in general. And the reason I highlighted always is because it's often used with this adverb. If you're talking about somebody in general, say, wow, they're always traveling. Wow, they're always going to the coffee shop. Or, oh, wow, they're always dancing at the club. All right, that's definitely not me, not dancing at the club. But as an example, if you're talking about reoccurring situations, you usually use it with always and say that somebody's always doing something. Now, we can also use the present continuous to talk about future, and in this case, future plans. Now, the first two examples I am giving you right here, you're using going to. So most people, when we think about the future tense, you think about using will or be going to. And that is okay. But be going to it's essentially the present continuous. So for example, if it's a future plan, he is going to study abroad next semester. All right? That is his future plan. Or future plan for tomorrow, I'm going to the dentist tomorrow. I'm going to the dentist tomorrow. It's a future plan. Now, if you want to use will with either of those sentences, it's perfectly okay. Now, one difference which you may not know and I think can be confusing, if you're not talking about a future plan, if you're talking about something sudden in the future, you cannot use be going to. You cannot use the continuous tense. For example, if somebody knocks on the door, it's sudden. We didn't know about it. You would say, I will get it. I will get the door. You would not use going to in this case because it's a sudden decision. You wouldn't say, I'm going to get the door. No, it's not a future plan. So you're only using be going to with future plans. And again, we can use it with other verbs as well. If you're talking about, next week, I'm starting a new project. Next week, we're doing another live lesson. And we hope you guys join us again next week so we can use the present continuous to talk about the future. And this is where I think it gets a little more advanced grammar when we're talking about the different uses of the present continuous and the present simple. So when we're talking about negatives and questions, again, for the negatives, we're going to use not. And not is going to go between the helping verb to be and the main verb. Wes is not working hard. All right. I try to work hard, but maybe sometimes this is true and you'd say, Wes is not working hard. The next example, they aren't talking anymore, or they're not talking anymore. The reason why I gave you both of these is because, again, we can use contractions differently, and we can either contract the verb and not, they aren't talking anymore, or we could contract the subject and not, They're not, are the subject and the verb to be. They're not talking anymore. The meaning is exactly the same. So the meaning's the same. You can use either one. They aren't talking anymore. They're not talking anymore. Keep in mind that for this other contraction, you can only contract subject pronouns and the verb to be. So I am, I'm. They are, there. You are, your. If the subject is a person like Wes is, we cannot contract those two. But we can contract the verb to be and not. We could say, Wes isn't working hard. But keep that in mind. If we're contracting the subject and the verb to be, it has to be a subject pronoun. If we're asking questions right here, again, we're going to put the verb to be at the beginning. The subject goes in the middle. Are you paying attention? I hope that you guys are paying attention to this lesson because we are going to practice this very soon. Are you paying attention? And if we have a question right here to go with that picture, that picture from a long time ago, is Wes working hard? In that picture, is Wes working hard? And then you could answer, Wes is not working hard in that picture. So that is asking questions. Now, for a fun pronunciation tip. So a pronunciation tip with the present continuous is that, like I said, it's the verb to be, the verb in the ing. So I am studying. Now, a pronunciation tip when we're talking, most native English speakers, they don't often say that ing sound. They will drop the G. And I'll tell you what I mean. So let's practice saying that with a few sentences. And wherever you're watching this, repeat these after me. Say this out loud, okay? And we're going to drop the G. So I will say it twice and you can listen to the difference. I could say, you're talking way too loud. And in that case, I'm saying the G. But most of the times, I would just say, many native speakers would just say, you're talking way too loud. You don't hear that ing. They drop that G. You're talking way too loud. Talking. The next one, if I say the G and you're speaking slowly, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. If we drop the G, which is how, I would say it in normal conversation, I'm not doing this anymore. So you guys can repeat that. I'm not doing this anymore. And drop that G. Same with the other one. If I drop the G, we're always coming up with new lessons. We're always coming up with new lessons. Coming up. That we're dropping that G. And that other one right there. All right. You're going to hit the like button. We could reduce going to and say gonna. You're going to hit that like button. You're going to hit that like button. But even if I wanted to say to, I would still drop that G and say, you're going to hit you're going to hit that like button. You're going to hit that like button. So again, you can hear it without that G. But most of the time with going to, people would reduce it with gonna. But again, this is a good pronunciation tip if you're looking to reduce your accent a little or sound a little more like a native speaker. When you're using the present continuous, you can just ix that G off the end. I'm not doing this anymore. You're talking way too loud. You're going to hit that like button, all right? I'm trying to be suggestive here. So if you like learning grammar, please go ahead, hit that like button. Let us know. So that is my pronunciation tip. And now, again, we're not done talking about the present continuous. There is something else that I think is very, very, very important when talking about the present continuous, and that is stative verbs. Because you cannot use the present continuous with stative verbs. Now, maybe you're asking, what the heck is a stative verb? Well, I will tell you. Stative verbs are verbs that refer to states as opposed to actions. So they're not really actions that you could just do physically. These are states. So we're talking about right here, you're talking about senses, opinions, emotions, mental states, measurements. With verbs like that, we cannot use the present continuous. So these are some examples of some common stative verbs. Now, I want you to look at that list real quickly, and you might see it and be like, wait a second. I've seen some of those verbs used in the continuous tense, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So look at these verbs that I'm highlighting right there. The verbs have, see, and love. The one thing you need to keep in mind is that in English, sometimes you have words that have different meanings. This is the same with verbs. Verbs can have different meanings, and depending on the meaning would depend on whether or not you can use the continuous tense. So, here are some examples. First one up there, I have a pencil. In this case, have is talking about possession, something you have. You cannot use this in the continuous tense. Now, if you're talking about the other example in blue, I'm having a bad day. In this case, you're not talking about possession, you're talking about an experience. Somebody is experiencing something. I'm having a bad day. That's perfectly okay. Now the verb see, there in red, he sees a spider. That is your senses. It's something you see with your eyes. You cannot use that in the continuous tense. But if we're talking about the next sentence, he is seeing a therapist, okay? He's seeing a therapist, he's seeing a physical therapist, who knows? In this case, the verb see, it means that you're visiting. So you can use it in the continuous tense. He's seeing a therapist. It even has another meaning if I said, you know what? She's seeing my best friend. In this case, it's talking about dating. You're seeing somebody else. She's seeing my best friend. You're talking about dating. It can be used in the continuous tense. And the last one, which is probably the most confusing right here, is love. And you'd say, I love it. It's talking about an emotion. And nowadays, you might even see people, or you might hear it in a song, or might hear it on TV or in movies, and somebody says, you know, I'm loving it. And they're talking about an emotion. Technically, grammatically speaking, again, this should not be in the continuous tense. You should not use I'm loving it. However, over the last 10 or 20 years, it's become more common. I think McDonald's was even using it as part of their slogan. They're like, hey, let's just use some bad grammar. It'll stand out more. And at this point, somebody says, you know, I'm loving it. In my opinion, I almost think it's almost an idiom now. It's an idiomatic expression that is becoming acceptable in spoken English. I would refrain and avoid writing it because that's a little more formal. But again, this is an example of how grammar rules are changing. People are breaking the rules, and it's just something to be aware of and something to keep in mind. But typically, love as an emotion, it's a stative verb. We should not use it in the continuous tense. So now it is time to practice. All right, everybody, if you are in the chat, all right, I'm looking at all you guys. I want you guys to practice. Even if you guys are watching this later on, I want you to write your answers in the comments. Practice using these stative verbs. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you some questions, and we'll start easy. It'll get a little more difficult, but I just want you to complete the sentence using either the present simple or the present continuous. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is sometimes with some of these sentences, grammatically, you could use both. I want you to try to use the one that's the most appropriate. Given the context, given the situation, try to use the one that's the most appropriate. Are you going to use the present simple or the present continuous? I want you to write your answers so I know you are participating. Ready? The first question is this one right here. I usually English at night. I'm giving you the verb. So I want you to complete the sentence. Are you going to use the present simple or the present continuous? I usually English at night. What do you guys think? And then I will show you the answers. All right, getting some good answers. Farah, Marcella, Kira, Giselle, Stephanie, Rosa, excellent. Yes, we're going to use the present simple. I usually study English at night. The key word in there, I think, is usually. Again, when we're talking about these adverbs of frequencies, that should tell us, okay, it's probably going to be present simple. Next, let's look at this one. So in there. So this is a negative using not and go. Okay, what are we going to use? Are you going to use the present simple or present continuous? Think about the context, the situation. In there. What do you guys think? Write your answers in the comments, in the chat. All right, we're starting a little easier and then it'll get a little more difficult. All right, so yes, think about this situation. And if we're talking about that house right there, I would say, you know what? I'm not going in there. I am not going in there, or I'm not going in there. Excellent. So the next one, what do you think? She on the phone at the moment. How would you complete that? The verb is talk. She on the phone at the moment. Write your answer in the comment. Write your answer in the chat. Don't be shy, all right? Don't worry. Nobody, get a wrong answer. It's no big deal. What do you guys think, all right? So, excellent. You should say the key word there is at the moment, and I just say, she is talking on the phone at the moment. She's talking on the phone at the moment. We're talking about something that's happening right now. We use the present continuous. Next, we have this one. It is a question, okay? To see a movie later. The subject is you. The verb is want. How would you write that question? What do you guys think? Write your answer in the comments, in the chat. To see a movie later. So again, we're talking about subject you, verb want. Excellent. You guys, great answers. Do you want to see a movie later? We're using the present simple. Remember, want is a desire. That you cannot use that as a stative verb, all right? It's a stative verb, so you cannot use it in the present continuous. So you say, do you want to see a movie later? Do you want to see a movie later? What about this one, okay? Not like to eat fast food, all right? Again, it's always good to practice. Even if you know all these, that's perfect. So I want you guys to tell me if you get all of them right. Have a couple more for you. So what do you think? They to eat fast food. We're using the negative, and our verb is like, all right? Excellent. They don't like to eat fast food. Again, like is a stative verb. We do not use it in the continuous tense. What about this one? All right. Tomorrow night, I an old friend. Tomorrow night, I an old friend. What do you guys think? All right. Tomorrow night, I an old friend. So in this case, again, we're talking about a future plan that's happening tomorrow night. Excellent. I see some good answers. So tomorrow night, I'm meeting an old friend. We'd use the present continuous. That's the most appropriate response. If you're talking to somebody, say, yeah, tomorrow night, I'm meeting an old friend. All right, we're getting together. We're having a drink. We're having some coffee. I'm meeting an old friend. What about this one? Okay, this is one I want to know the answer to. All right, it's a question. Are YouTube lessons regularly? Subject is you, and the verb watch. What do you guys think? Keyword regularly. What do you guys think? Keyword is regularly. Are YouTube lessons regularly? So I just told you the keyword is regularly. It's something that is a repeated action. So again, we're talking about a question. We need to use that helping verb. Do you watch our YouTube lessons regularly? What do you guys think? Let me know. Tell me in the comments. Do you watch our YouTube video lessons regularly? I hope so. So this is some good practice. Again, using the present simple and the present continuous. And so many of you would like us. We're going to talk about more verb tenses later. But if you haven't already seen There are other lessons using these other verb tenses. I highly recommend you check them out. We've done other grammar lessons that I think will help you guys, and we give more information and do some practice. So I hope I will link those lessons. I will link those lessons in the description, and you guys can check those out. And please, I think it will really help you improve your grammar skills. Now, if you got all of those right, I want you to let me know right in the chat. I want you to write new grammar, all right? Or no, write grammar rocks, all right? You got all of them right. Grammar rocks. You got all of them correct. Even if you're watching this later, write that in the comments so I know that, hey, you guys rock that. You rock those questions. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. If you would like and share this lesson and help us spread the word so that everybody can join these classes that we do on Saturday. If you have any questions, write those in the comments. And please, whoops, it's over here. Check out our social media classes. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course right here on YouTube. So thank you, Judy, Patricia, Wal, Marcelo, Bassam, Giselle, Junior, Kira, Gurvir, Stephanie, Pau, Murillo, Bogdan, Padmarla. Sorry if I missed some names. Thank you, Tarana. Excellent. I really appreciate you guys being here with me today and practicing your language skills, practicing your English skills. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.